The FBI is raiding pro-lifers all across America. A new indictment just hit. We're going to take a look at it, but it involves a group of people protesting at abortion clinics. Biden, FBI, and DOJ going hog wild over some of these individuals involved. And so we'll take a look at all of this and more. But first, let's get some background on this family, the Marc Houck family. You can see big, beautiful, nice family here. Certainly looks like a group of terrorists, obviously joking about that. But you can see it's Marc and Ryan Marie Houck with their 7 children aged 2 to 13 years old. And now Marc got arrested, or he got raided. I'm not sure if he's actually been charged yet. But a little bit of background here coming out of the Catholic News Agency. They tell us the story. They say new information raises questions about a Catholic father of 7 who was raided by the FBI. You can see the family here. Nice family. They're talking about the arrest of a Catholic leader, father of 7, in a raid caused all sorts of an outcry. Marc Houck, the founder and the co-president of the King's Men, a men's ministry, faces federal charges stemming from a altercation that took place outside of a Planned Parenthood in Philadelphia. Marc, who regularly praised the rosary outside the clinic, maintains he was defending his 12-year-old son from an escort's verbal harassment, somebody said. Now, this is where this gets interesting. Altercation was captured on video, and they're going to try to track that video down. But both the city police and the district attorney declined to file charges. Right, so here we criticize the FBI a lot because it's a federal law enforcement agency who comes crashing down upon local citizens, especially in cases where the local city police and the district attorney say, we don't need charges. Okay, the local people who are there don't need charges. The case was dismissed in July. The case already went to a private criminal complaint in Philadelphia. It was dismissed. The man didn't show up to court. Now, after this happened, just days later, Houck received a target letter from the U.S. Attorney's Office saying you're the subject of a criminal probe. His attorney is involved, and of course, they're dealing with this. Here's the scene from Marc's residence when the FBI showed up on his front door. Residence out in Pennsylvania. He was arrested that day, charged with assault. There it is. Federal law enforcement officials arrived there. A SWAT team of about 25 people came to his house. They said they were going to break in if they didn't open it. 5 guns. They were all pointing their weapons. 11 years if convicted. Now, it's not just Marc, right? There are many other individuals who are getting charged. We have an amazing report. Mia Cathall over on Twitter, she's from Town Hall. She put together an incredible thread detailing the insane activities of the FBI and the DOJ. She tells us 11 pro-life activists have been indicted. We're going to take a look at that by Biden's DOJ for protesting outside an abortion clinic in Tennessee. It says, meet the Christian Mimas and Papas charged as co-conspirators, now facing up to 11 years for a peaceful, quote, blockade demonstration. You see these people right here. Clearly those domestic violent extremists that they're talking about. Jesus is Lord. What an insurrectionist. Now, this is written by Mia Cathall, and I invite you to go follow her, but she has done some very interesting reporting here. She details who these individuals are. You see Heather Idoni, 58 years old, has a bookstore. It's now a Ukraine relief center, charged by the DOJ. There she is. Terrorist. Pro-life advocate passport confiscated by the federal authorities. 61-year-old evangelist, pro-life missionary named Calvin, now being prosecuted, was arrested for reading from the Bible one time. Biden's DOJ is, it's not funny, actually. Biden's DOJ is targeting this pro-life street preacher. He advocates for peaceful prayer. This guy right here, who is out here talking about praying outside of abortion clinics. You have this woman here, the preacher's daughter, Eva Darlene Zastrow, named in a federal indictment. These are all the people that we're going to see and hear from in a minute. Pro-life physician, he was indicted. He was coordinating a peaceful protest at a clinic, saying things like, that baby's a gift from God. This is your son or daughter. Let us adopt. Here's another one. Paul Vaughn, charged by the DOJ. Here's another guy. This is Dennis Earl Green. He's a co-conspirator for protesting at abortion clinics. Now, do you see any of the same type of activity? Do you see big Antifa raids or anything like that? Anybody from like the sort of the BLM era, getting sort of indicted, raided? Has Patrisse Cullors been raided after she stole $60 million from, allegedly from BLM? Is that happening? Or is it just the peaceful protesters who are sitting outside abortion clinics? Here she is, pro-life icon Eva, arrested 40 times blockading abortion clinics. Hey, here they are. Here's some scenery. Instead of charging the far-left terrorist who here she goes, they bombed the pregnancy centers, they're targeting this pro-life grandmother. All right, so you can take a look at the double standards as they exist, obviously. But they're just arresting people all over the place because that's what the Biden administration does. Now, there was a new charge that came in this indictment. Let's make sure we have this pulled up. The Biden DOJ charging 11 pro-life activists. You see them listed here. We've got Chester Gallagher, Heather Edani, Calvin Zastro, Coleman Boyd, Carolyn Davis, Paul Vaughn, Dennis Green, Eva Zastro, James Zastro, and Paul Place. 11 of them charged with crimes, indicted October 3rd, out of the Middle District of Tennessee. Several different charges, violation of U.S. Code, listed here. The grand jury came out and they said, all right, boys and girls, we have taken the time to review the material in this case, and we are stating the following. There is a clinic, a health center that's a provider of health services, specifically abortions, located in Tennessee. The following people were present on March 5th. We already listed them. Chester from Tennessee, Heather from Michigan, Calvin from Michigan, Coleman from Mississippi, Michigan, Tennessee, Virginia, South Carolina, Arkansas, Missouri, and Tennessee. Shout out to all of those states. Employee A, also listed here, was an employee at the clinic, was at work on March 5th. Patient A was a clinic patient who was seeking to obtain reproductive health services at the clinic on March 5th. And they tell us now that these charges are appropriate. 1. On or about February 10, 2021 to March 5th, they say in the Middle District, 7 people, Chester, Heather, Calvin, and others, did combine, conspire, and agree with one another to injure, oppress, threaten, intimidate patients and employees of the clinic in the free exercise and enjoyment of the rights and privileges secured to them by the United States, namely the right to seek and obtain reproductive health services as codified in United States law. We're going to have a little bit of a battle, aren't we, between the U.S. Code here, the statutory protections, and let's say the other statutory protections that exist for, I don't know, free speech, free association, free exercise, all of these freedoms codified in the First Amendment, Bill of Rights. The purpose of the conspiracy, according to this DOJ, it was the plan and the purpose of the conspiracy. Oh my gosh, it sounds nefarious. That all of these defendants named Chester, aided and abetted by each other and other co-conspirators, that they would create a blockade to stop the clinic from providing patients from obtaining reproductive health services. Now, of course, in every conspiracy, we know that we need multiple elements to form a legitimate conspiracy. You have to have a mind, a guilty sort of common scheme that everybody wants to be a part of. In this case, apparently it's blockading an abortion clinic. But then you need overt acts. You can't just sit around and say, we should go blockade an abortion clinic or we should go rob a bank. You got to take an overt act in further of that to really make the conspiracy stick. Legally, they say the overt acts are as follows. In furtherance of the conspiracy and to accomplish the objects of the conspiracy, they've got to be related. The conspirators committed various overt acts such as the following. It's probably going to be pretty brutal. So if you've got little ones out there, let's hear how horrible this is. On or about February 21st out there, Chester utilized social media and he promoted a series of anti-abortion events scheduled for March through the 7th. All of that being done in Nashville. And Gallagher, he used the term rescue to describe a physical blockade of the reproductive health care facility. Yeah. In mid-February, Chester and Heather, they also used a Facebook account and a social media platform to coordinate travel logistics. And other blockade participants, unknown to the grand jury, to travel to Nashville. Donnie used Facebook to identify blockade participants who would be willing to risk arrest to further the objects of the conspiracy. Can you believe how they're talking about these people? What? Blockade participants. What? On or about February 2021, Carolyn used Facebook to communicate to another terrorist called Coleman that she would meet him for, quote, a rescue in Tennessee in March. Davis then did meet with Boyd and others in Tennessee to participate in the blockade. Heather and others, all of these others are known from other states, and they traveled to Tennessee. On or about March 4th, they advertised the clinic blockade. They posted on Facebook. They said, Lord willing, our family will be doing a Facebook Live of some ministry activities tomorrow morning at about 7:45 a.m. Please be in prayer towards this, and please plan to join us and share it if possible. On or about 7:45, they stood in the hallway outside of the clinic, and Coleman used his Facebook account to create a live stream titled Mount Juliet Rescue. Others on the grand jury, others known and unknown to the grand jury, gathered in the hallway outside of the clinic suite, directly outside of the clinic's two entry doors. Calvin and Chester, they stood directly in front of the main entry door blocking access to the clinic, they allege. And they commenced their live stream at 7:45 a.m., saying that they announced themselves, they put their names out there on the Facebook clinic, and they said the clinic was scheduled to open at 8 a.m. That's why they're there at 7:45. At 7:51, Dennis, he also recorded himself entering the clinic. Green recorded himself entering the clinic, and he rode up the clinic floor. Others unknown to them live streamed the video, and others also walked through the hallways and assumed positions. And they say that when Coleman Boyd was scheduled, when patient A arrived, so patient A and her companion arrived outside the clinic for a scheduled service, Coleman Boyd was right there. He was standing next to the only hallway leading to the clinic's entry doors. Coleman attempted to engage patient A by asking her numerous questions. Boyd asked patient A if she's trying to come to the abortion mill. Patient A responded and walked away. But Boyd persisted, and he said, "Can we talk to you for a minute?" Boyd then encouraged one of his children to approach patient A and her companion. Boyd's child then walked up to patient A and asked her companion if they're looking for the abortion clinic. Patient A and her companion then walked into the crowded hallway but stopped short of the clinic entrance. This was directly live streamed. Boyd told his live stream audience that patient A was a mom coming to kill her baby. When employee A returned to the clinic staff, Calvin physically blocked the door for the clinic staff. Zastrow refused to move from the door, and they acknowledged that he was trespassing. Employee A was unable to enter the clinic and exited the building. Shortly after 8 a.m., Chester used his Facebook account, saying that they were leading a rescue, that they were present, willing to go to jail if need be, saying that they had delay tactics in order to convince people not to do something. They announced to others on the grand jury, saying that it's very important that if you're not planning on being arrested, don't sit in front of the door. Don't get pictured blocking the door. I don't want anybody blocking the door. Otherwise, you're going to be arrested, is what they're saying. After the officers with the Mount Juliet Police Department arrived and they directed individuals in the hallway to leave, Chester and others said that we're at the point now where we need to know who's going to jail and who's not going to jail. During Chester's live stream, others alerted the police. Others were alerted the police were going to arrest individuals after giving a final warning. Vaughn spoke with the police officers he stood next to, who explained to his Facebook live stream that they're trying to buy us as much time as we have. All of the people on the Facebook live streams say that we've already helped turn away one couple. We're hoping to stop as many murderous appointments as we can. So let's see what the rest of the counts are. Count 2, and all of these other charges are incorporated herein. that they intimidated, interfered, attempted to injure, intimidate, and interfere with patient A, employee A, at the clinic. Signed off a true bill here. 2 counts. Here they are. Conspiracy to obstruct access to a clinic providing reproductive health services, max prison, 10 years. And violation of the FACE Act. Clerk issued a warrant for all of the various individuals. You can see 1 per person. This one's for Chester Gallagher. This one's for Heather E. Donnie. This one's from Calvin, and so on. We can see all of the various charges for all of the various individuals listed here. Let's see if there's anything else interesting. There is not. So here you can see they are detailing in a cover sheet how long they expect these trials to take place. They say that they've been indicted. Paul Place, 5-day trial is something that they're estimating, as looks like 11 pro-life activists are indicted. Federal indictments coming out of the Biden administration. Now, a lot of questions about this. Here's the scene of what the raid looked like when the FBI showed up.
But if you're not going,
pro-life activists arrested by the FBI. This is the scene at one of the homes when they showed up and made the arrest without much explanation.
to let me, then I'll just.
No, I want to know why you were banging on my door with a gun. You're not going to tell me anything?
No, they're not.
I tried.
No, you didn't.
Yes, I did.
You did not try.
Protesting, 10 years in jail and home arrest with dozens of FBI agents. Armed up.
This is not acceptable.
Federal agents. Wow, that's a pretty big gun
Can I
there.
have your name?
Nope, not even talking to her.
You're not going to give me your name. You're not going to give me any information.
Bye. So you can throw Molotov cocktails at all sorts of different, firebomb different facilities. You can get away with all sorts of crimes unless you're on the wrong side of the political aisle. FBI just shows up, grabs your husband, and off you go. That's Joe Biden's America, just rounding people up and taking them on out. GOP representatives are very unhappy with these new DOJ developments. Representative Jim Jordan fired off a letter to the Honorable Jacqueline Romero, a U.S. attorney out of the Eastern District of Pennsylvania. You can see Jim Jordan published this October 7th, coming out of the Congress of the United States House of Representatives, signed by Jim Jordan, ranking member from Ohio. He writes to the U.S. attorney, he says, "Dear Miss Romero, we continue to investigate the politicization of the Biden-Garland DOJ and the FBI. Several recent actions by the department reinforce the conclusion that the Justice Department is using its federal law enforcement authority as a weapon against their political opponents. Since the unprecedented leak of a draft in Dobbs, the Justice Department has politicized the enforcement of the FACE Act, the Freedom of Access to Clinic Entrances. And they say, we right to conduct oversight of your authorization of a dawn raid of a home of a pro-life leader in front of his wife and 7 children when he had offered to voluntarily cooperate with you and your authorities." Jordan says, "The FACE Act prohibits threats of force, obstruction, and property damage intended to interfere with reproductive health services. According to the Justice Department, you people, the act also protects pro-life pregnancy counseling services and any other pregnancy support facility providing reproductive health care. And since the leak of the Dobbs opinion, however, the department has almost exclusively enforced the FACE Act to protect anti-life activists while failing to prosecute harassment and the intimidation of pro-life supporters. The people who are on the right side of the political argument, protected. Anti-life activists, the pro-aborters out there, they're saying that if they do anything in response to pregnancy health life centers, pregnancy support facilities, no charges. But if it's pro-lifers, they're facing criminal prosecution by the DOJ. On September 23rd, the FBI raided the home of Marc Houck, a pro-life leader residing within your judicial district, to execute an arrest warrant for allegedly violating the FACE Act. You alleged in a press release that Houck had shoved a Planned Parenthood volunteer outside a clinic almost a year earlier, back in October. Houck's wife, Ryan Marie, however, explained that a Planned Parenthood activist had repeatedly made crude and inappropriate and disgusting comments about Houck in the presence of their 12-year-old son, and that person had gotten into the personal space of the child. Footnote 5. That comes from an article written in a National Review signed by Patrick Delaney talking about the FBI raiding the home. Marie said that a local court in Philadelphia had already thrown out a civil suit against Houck filed by the activists. So that person who sort of got in there and was screaming bad profanities at a 12-year-old kid filed a civil suit against Houck and then lost it. The department's decision to arrest Houck, as well as the tactics used to effectuate the arrest, are troubling. Ryan Marie recounted how an FBI SWAT team of about 25 came to my house with about 15 vehicles. They had about 5 guns pointed at my husband, myself, and basically at my kids. An anonymous FBI source denied to the media that the 25 agents were present, but did admit that authorities sent up to 20 agents to effectuate the arrests. Houck's attorney subsequently disclosed that the Dawn raid was necessary because Houck had offered to appear voluntarily, was unnecessary. He previously said, I'll just show up there. Okay, look, and this happens all the time. Lawyers communicate self-surrenders with FBI agents and state and local prosecutors all the time. You don't need to do this stuff. Is he going to hide evidence of his misdeeds, of the appearance at the abortion facility? No. There's no reason to do this other than solely to intimidate people of faith and pro-life Americans. Jim Jordan says, the department's treatment of Houck stands in stark contrast to its treatment of potential acts of domestic violent extremism against pro-life facilities. For example, on June 10, vandals smashed the windows and they graffitied the walls of the Hope Pregnancy Center, a pro-life pregnancy center in your judicial district, lawyer. There was no press release from your office regarding an investigation or charges in that case. And just last week, an 83-year-old pro-life volunteer at Lake Odessa in Michigan was shot while canvassing a local neighborhood about an abortion ballot proposal. There has been no outcry or press conference from the DOJ in response to that. And since the leak of the Dobbs opinion, Jane's Revenge, a radical anti-life group, has claimed responsibility for at least 18 arson and vandalism attacks on pro-life clinics and organizations. While the FBI says that it's investigating, quote, a series of attacks and threats targeting pregnancy resource centers and faith-based organizations and reproductive health clinics, Jim Jordan says, to our knowledge, he's in Congress, the department and the FBI have not executed any SWAT team raids during the dawn hours to make arrests of anti-life activists. And if you are, that'd be great to know. We'd all like to know about that. Jordan continues, he says, pro-life pregnancy centers nationwide play a critical and an important role in supporting and assisting pregnant women. In 2019, 2,700 centers served nearly 2 million people, and they continue to serve millions of women annually. Pro-life pregnancy centers exist to serve and support mothers in the courageous decision to give their child life, even under the most difficult circumstances. Jordan continues. He says services and resources provided virtually free of charge include, but they're not limited to, ultrasounds, pregnancy testing, STD testing, parenting, prenatal education programs, diapers, and even baby outfits. Pro-life pregnancy centers deserve the same protections that the department aggressively provides abortion clinics. If you're going to arrest these pro-lifers, there's a whole group of Jane's Revengers out there. You got to go make sure the same standards apply to them, right? Jordan says, the DOJ's lackluster response to the attacks against pro-life facilities demonstrates that Biden would rather cater to the radical anti-life movement than help facilities that protect women in need. So that we in Congress can better understand why you, government prosecutor, have declined to evenly enforce federal law in your district, please provide the following information. And remember, this is going to a U.S. attorney, a prosecutor in the district. Can you explain to us why you're doing this way and not this that way? Curious. And to help us come to that determination, we'd like the following documents from you. 1, all documents and communications between the U.S. Attorney's Office and the Eastern District of Pennsylvania with the DOJ about the FACE Act, the Freedom of Access to Clinic Entrances. We also want to know about any communications that you've had with the DOJ's Reproductive Rights Task Force. And we'd also like a spreadsheet about all of the attacks on pregnancy resource centers between May 2nd up till now that you've worked on. Give us some details on that as well. And we also would appreciate it if you gave us all communications about the attack on the Hope Pregnancy Center in Philadelphia. Did you guys investigate that? Did you make a charging decision? Did you have a declination officially filed somewhere? We'd like to see it. And all documents that you have sent to the FBI about the arrest of Marc Houck. We want it all, says Jim Jordan. Please provide this information as soon as possible, but no later than 5 p.m. sharp on October 21st. And further, this letter serves as a formal request, here it is, to preserve all existing and future records and materials in your possession on this topic. You should construe this preservation notice as an instruction to take all reasonable steps to prevent the destruction or alteration, whether intentionally or negligently, of all documents and communications that have been stored. Anything that might be responsive to this congressional inquiry, you better hang on to that. This instruction includes all electronic messages, emails, phone accounts, personal accounts, records, everything, text messages, phone messages, and encryption software. We're getting it all. Thank you for your prompt attention to this matter. Signed, Jim Jordan, ranking member, along with Mike Johnson, Subcommittee on the Constitution, Civil Rights, and Civil Liberties. All going over to the U.S. Attorney and the DOJ, and they're saying, boy, oh boy, we're going to be in charge soon enough here, and when it is our time, I don't want you to even think about telling me that you deleted it, all right? Because I sent you this letter on October 7th that said preserve it or else. We'll see if they do. We know how that story often goes. But Jim Jordan was not alone. We also had a letter from Chip Roy. Chip Roy, demanding answers from the DOJ, sent this letter September 27th, says, Dear Attorney General Garland, as you know, Marc Houck, a father of 7, was arrested. He's a noted Catholic and he's a pro-life activist. 15 vehicles showed up. They began pounding on his door. The agents allegedly stated they're going to break into the home unless the wife opens the door. This raid occurred after somebody insulted his 12-year-old son, saying there's much to learn about the FBI's operations in this case. Surely, says Chip Roy, the FBI must have an extraordinary reason for showing up at the home of an American family, allegedly with roughly 25 heavily armed federal agents, and arresting a father in front of his 7 children. At this moment, writes Chip, this appears to be an extraordinary overreach for political ends. And now we request an explanation from you for the excessive level of force used by the FBI in this case and why the power of the federal law enforcement was once again used against an American citizen in what should be a state and local matter that already was a state and local matter that was declined by state and local prosecutors. Chip Roy says, please issue a written response by September 30th, and we'll see if he got that. I doubt it. The FBI continues to make their arrests, and the GOP starting to show some signs of life. Maybe they'll do something about it if they gain power. But of course, we will continue to cover it. Thank you for liking this video wherever it is you're watching it, and I look forward to seeing you on the next one.